Well, I wanted to provide you with an update on U.S. politics, the U.S. economy, the Fed, and also importantly, Canada US relations, and a little bit of a market update as well. Who better to bring all of you that information than the former U.S. ambassador to Canada, Bruce Heyman, and also who is now the co chair of the Canada Institute in Ottawa. Ambassador, wonderful to be with you again. It has been a while, that is for sure. Nice to see you, and thank you so much for joining us today and bringing us all your insight and information.
It's so good to be with you.
Thank you. There is a lot to discuss. Let's get to it. I want to get your views post the U.S. midterm elections 1 week following the vote. What's your read in terms of how we should be thinking about U.S. policies potentially going forward? And also, of course, we've heard from President Trump announcing his race once again.
So the good news, which I think came to a surprise of many political pundits, the good news is that democracy has not only survived but thrived during the midterms, and that people sat back and recognized in almost all demographic groups, they recognize that there is no equivalency to inflation at the gas pump or food prices and democracy taking away women's right to choice or throwing away the rule of law. And so I don't mean to minimize the pain that we've all experienced in both of our countries and around the world from inflation. But, we can fight that fight another day, and we'll continue to. But if we lose the rule of law and democracy, then we lose just about everything. And so we saw unbelievable turnout in all these demographic groups, especially youth, which is historically not turned out. And so if you want to be optimistic about the US election cycles going forward, youth coming out at the midterms is a good indicator of perhaps youth turning out in 2024. And so this is a really positive trend. And so good news, the losses in the House were small relative to historic norms. A sitting president historically loses about 28 seats in the House. Looks like you're going to lose a handful of those. Yes, it will be under GOP control, but it'll be a very narrow control. And the surprise, I think, is that we've so far picked up a seat in the Senate side, and so which ensures Democratic control of the Senate. So you'll have a divided Congress, and it will be, I think it has an opportunity to really work effectively, but it's going to be in the hands of the GOP and their willingness to compromise or work together with the president on accomplishing outcomes. But this is good news. And so I think there was a huge exhale by a lot of people who are very worried about what could potentially have happened in this midterm that didn't happen.
Right. What do you think, and it is early days, but what do you think this might mean for the 2024 presidential election? And who do we think will really take hold in terms of running? It's early, but what do you think?
Well, it's early, yet even as early as it is, we have the former president making his announcement this week that he's in the game. I think the Republicans are going to have some real challenges within their party. Do you embrace this former president and his extremist perspectives and views? Or do you, is the fever broken and do you now move on to the next generation and hopefully find normality within a two-party system? And look, I think it's important that we have a strong and effective and healthy GOP with the Dems working together, debating and thoroughly going back and forth, but not hating and not, causing insurrections and not throwing out the rule of law, but protecting our democracy while still debating it. I think that Joe Biden probably going to run again. I think that the midterms only, re-enhanced or enhanced his perspective of his leadership during this time. And while polling was down, I don't trust polls so much, as we all saw how
Yeah.
polls even looked
Yeah.
going into the election.